What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what the news is saying about Tesla, and you should be watching for tomorrow, as we have some important earnings and stuff coming out. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. Now, this offer ends in just about 9 days from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. So, looking at Tesla, we had a very, very interesting day on Friday. Yes, Tesla sold off more, but this was not necessarily that simple because in the morning, we saw some sellers stepping in. They got this liquidity grab to about 218 before selling Tesla and bringing it all the way down to 210. Then after that, during the second half of the day, the buyers stepped in and they ended up defending Tesla and trying to hold it above 212, which Tesla did for the rest of the day on Friday. Then after the market closed, Tesla ended up pushing a tiny bit, just a little bit to the upside, and this is a decent sign for tomorrow. Now, as of right now, the question is, will Tesla end up bouncing? Is Tesla ready to bounce from here? Or is Tesla going to see a little bit more downside and start tanking even more for the next couple of days? And this is going to be my answer. I believe that Tesla could drop a tiny bit more and then bounce, or it may bounce very, very soon because we're getting some signals suggesting that, and we're starting to see something changing for futures in the markets. So I'm going to be breaking this down in more detail over the next couple of minutes, but I first want to talk about some big news coming out. So tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day. We have some earnings coming out. We have the Bank of Hawaii and the Bank of Hope. Maybe this could bring some hope for the bulls. Who knows? And that's just a joke. But anyways, going back, we also have some earnings coming out for Tuesday through Thursday. And we have Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Alphabet, and just a couple of others for Tuesday. For Wednesday, we have Meta and IBM. And then for Thursday, we have Amazon and Intel. So we're going to be watching to see how these big tech earnings end up affecting the markets. It's going to have a big effect on Tesla as well. Now going forward, the earnings don't truly start until like Tuesday. That's when we have the big ones. For tomorrow, we just have a couple of small banks, some like very, very minor ones. And I don't think it's going to affect the market that much. And what else is quite decent for the market would be the fact that there's not really too much noise coming out. On Monday, we just have the Chicago Fed National Index report, then a Fed board meeting at about like 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing too big, nothing too crazy affecting the markets. And this gives the bulls a chance because there's no like bearish CPI, there's no like PMI report coming out, no PPI, nothing too bad coming out to cause the market to drop this time around. So this gives the market some breathing room to prepare for some big earnings. Now on Tuesday, we have some data coming out, like the PMI report and just a couple of other things, but nothing too big for Monday that could help the market to some extent. Now today is Sunday. We're starting to see futures trading, and futures are actually edging a bit higher, which is a decent sign for tomorrow because Wall Street could be buying some dips, buying some of these big tech companies, pushing them up a little bit, anticipating some decent earnings. And this could help the market try to rebound just a tiny bit. So I'm going to be watching this for tomorrow. When it comes to Tesla, we have some news that came out. Basically, Tesla tested the bulletproof capacity of the Cybertruck, and they shot on the side of it using a Tommy gun. And this was very, very interesting because you could see that there were these bullet markings. I'm not going to call them bullet holes because Elon Musk claims that none of the bullets went through. And that's a good sign because it really shows that the Cybertruck is very durable. It could be bulletproof, maybe depending on the bullet. But I would say that as of right now, there's evidence that yes, it is bulletproof. It's going to protect a lot of people. And, it's very, very awesome. This is a very, very good sales tactic that could be used just to incentivize safety and things like that for different buyers. Now, the thing about this, though, is according to the report and the test, we didn't really see them kind of like try to shoot through the glass, the armored glass. So I'm not sure if that is bulletproof. It's a possibility, right? I know Tesla claims that it's a bulletproof car, but I haven't really seen them test it in full detail, at least when it's actually driving for this specific model. Even if they do test like on the internet, they show it, that's not the same thing as them testing the actual model that has come out or like a prototype. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But for now, for the most part, this is true. It did withstand these bullets on the bottom for like the the steel frame and things like that. So that's good news for Tesla. They're keeping their words, and this could be used to help incentivize more sales and things like that. So that's good for the Cybertruck. As far as Tesla goes, the share price is down 15%. I believe that Elon Musk lost like $30 billion in his net worth or something like that, according to reports. So it is what it is. I mean, Tesla's down quite a bit. This is like the worst performance we've seen in a week for all of 2023 for Tesla. And because it's sold off so hard, it's due for a bounce from a technical standpoint. It really is due for a bounce. I believe Tesla has potential to bounce very soon thanks to that. Now, when it comes to Tesla, when it comes to other details affecting it, I just want to call out the fact that Morgan Stanley and Wedbush have outperformed or overweight ratings for Tesla, which is a good piece of news, right? They're saying Tesla's going to eventually outperform the market. Right now, Tesla's underperforming a bit as the price price ratio is dropping. But once it reaches this zero point 0.5 area, that's when we tend to see it bounce a bit. That's when we tend to see more buyers stepping in. So we might see Tesla try to like base very soon. That suggests that. Mondays tend to be green about 53% of the time. So they tend to be a good day for Tesla. Let's hope we get some kind of bounce. And we tend to see more volatility during the 2 o'clock period, which is like right here, and also around noon Eastern time. So we're going to be watching those levels very, very carefully, these time frames for it. And that's pretty much it for data, at least for the time being. Now, last but not least, the volume was about 138 million. So we're starting to see a lot of activity for Tesla. If this activity could switch instead of being in favor of the bears, but for the bulls as buyers step in, we could see a very, very aggressive amount of buying to try to like offset this. And this could help Tesla make an attempt to bounce. But the question is, will Tesla in the market bounce, or are we going to see more downside? And here's the answer. The odds greatly favor a bounce coming soon for Tesla, just a temporary small bounce. I'm not saying it's going to be like a crazy huge one. I'm just calling a very small one that's very possible. We could drop a tiny bit more and then bounce, or we just bounce from here. And I'm going to break down exactly why. So on the 4 hour time from the RSI is at 15. That is insanely oversold, and Tesla's dropping way too hard. And buyers do have a tendency of stepping in very close to these levels because historically around 212, we saw a massive bounce back in August. So we're very close to that level, and we managed to close very close to 212. Now, yes, we did drop a little bit below it, but then the buyers stepped in and they managed to hold it above it for the rest of the day. So there's a chance we could see buyers stepping in. And I just want to call out some smaller time frames. On the 30 minutes time frame, Tesla has a bullish divergence developing on the MACD. Also, the RSI is showing that. On the hourly, the same thing is developing. There's a bullish divergence developing. So it is going to bounce very soon, most likely. But the only question is, could it drop more first and then bounce, or try to bounce from here? So here's my answer. We're going to actually look at these levels very carefully. Let me just zoom into the charts a little bit. I'm going to switch to the 1 hour time frame just for reference. So looking at Tesla, we have these levels right here. Tesla is trying to hold this key support at 212. Now, it is possible technically that Tesla comes down to like 210 to 208 and then it bounces, or it could try to bounce from here. But because of these bullish divergences on not just Tesla, but SPY, Nvda, Aapl, and etc., there's a good chance that buyers will try to step in and try to bring Tesla all the way up towards this imbalance, which is very close to this 217 area. I could see some buyers stepping in. And if we break this, 218 is another possibility. We have another resistance right here, and we have this very important EMA right here. So if we look at the 30 minutes time frame, I could see Tesla trying to come up to this 50 EMA all over again. For confirmation, let's see if Tesla can try to get above 213.4. If we get above 213 to 214, I think it's going to come up to 218 plus, potentially even 220 above that. So what is my prediction? It could drop a tiny bit more. It is possible it retests like 210 and then bounces, maybe a little bit lower, 210 to 208, and then it bounces, or it just bounces from here. So I think a bounce is going to be the bigger move. And I think that Tesla is going to see some buyers stepping in and try to fill some of these imbalances. I think it's going to be retesting 216.8. If we break that, watch it come all the way up to 218, then potentially even 220. So I'm calling a bounce on Tesla very soon, just a temporary technical bounce. And I think Tesla is due for that. When it comes to SPY, I'm seeing something very similar developing. On the 30 minutes time frame, we have a bullish divergence developing after we just hit this 420 area. And 420 has been historically some strong support on SPY, right? If you go back to the chart, we bounced off 418.9, 420 many, many times. We actually bounced off of it twice just a couple of days ago. Not a couple of days, a couple of weeks ago. So I think the buyers are going to try to step in very soon. So just like Tesla, we have a bullish divergence on the 30-minute time frame, same thing on the hourly. So I believe that SPY is going to either bounce off 420, touch 420, then bounce, or it comes a little bit lower towards 418 and then it bounces. Either way, I think downside's quite limited, and I think some buyers will step in and try to push this thing all the way up to this 423 imbalance, very, very close to 424 after that, then 425, and then 426.24. But I think it either drops a tiny bit to 420, then bounces, or we go a little bit lower towards 418 and then we bounce. And watch SPY come all the way up to about 423.6, then 425 above that. The QQQ is showing the same thing as SPY. We have a nice bullish divergence developing on the 30 minutes time frame. Let me just pull up the QQQ. On the 30 minutes time frame, we got a nice bullish divergence in the after hours developing. Also on the hourly and the 4-hour time frame, it's all saying the same thing. This tells me that the QQQ either bounces right here off 354 and tries to push up towards 357.5, which is where we have this imbalance, or we see the QQQ drop a little bit more. It can drop a tiny bit towards this white trend line. So see the white line on the bottom. This is where we have historical support on the QQQ, which is very close to 352.5 depending on the timing. So we could see 352.5 and then bounce, or we bounce off 354 and then we see this thing come up to about 357.5 in my opinion. Don't forget we have some big tech earnings. If there's some hype beforehand that pushes the market up, this could help the QQQ to some extent. Nvda is showing us, the same thing, because Nvidia has a nice bullish divergence. We also saw a historical bounce off 407 the last time we hit it. Let me just show you guys just to prove it. So if you look at the 4-hour time frame on Nvidia, basically if we go back on the chart all the way back here at this 407 area, you guys can see this. We got a big bounce the last time it hit this in September. So we may see some buyers come in very close to this level or maybe a little bit higher. Now we have this gap down to 409. So there's a chance we drop a little bit more and then we bounce. But if you look at Nvidia, I think there's a good chance that buyers will step in very, very soon. Now, why am I saying this? Because when you look back at the chart, we have a bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame. We also have a bullish divergence on the 30-minute time frame and these other time frames out there. So I'm thinking Nvidia either like bounces off 410 and tries to get back to about this 418 area, which if we break, we could get up to like 420, 425 or so, but at least to 418. It either bounces from here or it drops a little bit more. It could drop a tiny bit more towards 407 to 409 and then we bounce. We push all the way back up towards 418 to 420. All right, so basically it either bounces here or it drops a tiny bit more and then it bounces to push right back up. That's the most likely possibility looking at the current technicals. Same thing on Aapl. Aapl is a little tricky because its ad key support hasn't really broken it, but we have to see if this divergence plays out. So we have a bullish divergence on the 30 minutes time frame, also on the 4-hour time frame on Aapl, and this tells me that Aapl will most likely do one of the following two things. Number one, it either bounces off 172.6 and pushes up towards 174. And if we break this, 175 is a possibility. Or it pushes down one last time towards 170. We get a little close to 170, then we bounce. Either way, they're both possible. We bounced off both of these levels in the past. My gut tells me it's going to try to bounce from here, but just to be safe, watch these levels. So if we break below 172.6, we could get very close to 170, then bounce. If we hold it, watch for a bounce right here. My gut tells me it's going to bounce right here, but just to be safe, know that a bounce is likely going to come. What adds on to this claim would be two other things, maybe three other things. Looking at the VIX, we have a bearish divergence on the VIX on the 4-hour and also on the 30-minute time frame. There's a clear bearish divergence right here, especially on the MACD. You guys can see it. You can see the price is going higher, but the MACD is declining. So is the RSI on the 30 minutes time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, the same thing is going on. We have a triple bearish divergence on the MACD and RSI, which tells me the VIX is going to drop, possibly because of the market bouncing soon. So maybe the VIX pushes higher than drops, or it just drops from here to fill this gap because of the market bouncing, right? So this tells us the market could drop a tiny bit more than bounce, or it just bounces from here. That's what the VIX is suggesting. The dollar is looking a little weaker. It's been downtrending on the 4-hour time frame, but we have 106 as support. If we lose 106, 105.7 is coming. That's also where this imbalance is. If we end up breaking 106, I think the dollar is going to drop, which is going to pump the markets. If we hold 106, the market could drop for a little bit, so watch that very carefully. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about this before I talk about a couple of other tickers. The 10-year Treasury yield has a bearish divergence on the 4-hour time frame, and we also have these gaps below. So if it does correct towards 48, anticipating earnings, this could help the market pump. So we're going to be watching if this bearish divergence plays out or not. Anyways, I'm going to be a little quick during this part, guys. I just want to quickly go over some other tickers. For SoFi, we're still selling off quite aggressively. We're approaching 7.25 as key support. On the 30 minutes, however, I don't really see much of a bullish divergence. It's very slight. We have a slight bullish divergence. So I see it maybe dropping towards 7.25, then bouncing towards 7.5 plus, or it just bounces from here for at least 7.6. One of those is going to likely happen. For the IWM, it's establishing a bullish divergence. It could drop towards 165, then bounce, or it bounces from here and tries to make its way up towards 168. For Microsoft, we have earnings coming up, so it could try to bounce soon. We have some nice support at 325, and also there is a slight bullish divergence. So I could see it trying to get back to about 329 very soon. There is a possibility of a bounce. AMD also has a bullish divergence developing on the chart. This is very significant because when you look at AMD, some buyers could try to step in right here, which is where we hit this 101.5 support. So I could see 101 or 101.5 being this temporary bottom, then a rebound towards 103. I think it's going to be a slight rebound, maybe nothing too insane. Looking at just a few others like Netflix. Netflix pumped very hard. It is starting to cool off a bit. We have a bearish divergence. I could see Netflix breaking down towards 100. Sorry, not 100. 400. If we lose 400, I could see it coming down towards this support right here at 390. It could decline just a little bit, cool off on the RSI a bit, and then that's going to be completely normal. But with the market bouncing, we might just see it chop around instead. So it could see some downwards pressure thanks to that divergence, but then the market may try to hold it up. So I could see it just go back and forth. But if we lose 398, watch for 390. So watch that very carefully. Also, I'm just going to go over a couple more. For Google, it looks like it could try to bounce off this bullish divergence. Going to be looking for a rebound towards 137.8. If we break that, watch 139 as we have Alphabet's earnings coming out very soon. For Amazon, we're going to be looking for a bounce off this bullish divergence to about 126.8. If we break this, it's going to come all the way up to about 128. So I think it's going to bounce. Also on Meta, I think a bounce is very possible as we have a potential bullish looking structure on the MACD, and we could see this thing retest 312. That also happens to be the 4-hour, not the 4-hour, but also the 4-hour 20 EMAs at 315. We're approaching the 4-hour 200 EMA. Basically, we're trying to bounce off that, and we could see 312 very soon on Meta for that reason. Finally, for Coinbase, okay, we need to see if Coinbase can break 75.4. If it does so, 77 is possible. If we fail, we're just going to continue to chop in this zone between 73.6 and about 76. Just continue to go back and forth and back and forth. But we could be testing 77 plus if we manage to break 75.4. So watch that on Coinbase. Anyways, that's it for the market, guys. We'll see how Tesla does going into tomorrow. We should see some buyers try to step in. Either it drops a bit more than bounces, or it bounces from here. That's the most likely possibility. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great Sunday, guys. Sorry I'm kind of late because I was on a trip and I came very, very late, but I'm still here. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, and peace out.